Tubridy on 2FM. Text 51552.
Now, my next guest this morning is here sitting in front of me, an American who did something that all of us would love to be able to do, and not just be able to do, but to be able to get away with it. He basically took on his bank and he won. Patrick Combs, he lodged a junk mail cheque into his bank account, and to his amazement, the bank actually cashed it. Oh, what a great world that would be. Since then, he's written a real-life story about his experience, and he performs it as a one-man show called Man Won, Bank Nil. And he's going to be touring with the show all over Ireland next month. I'll give you the dates in a minute or two. Patrick, good morning.
Good morning.
Give us the background. Just first of all, who are you and what happened and where were you?
Well, at the time, I was living in San Francisco, California, and I was $40,000 in debt. And I really did this as a joke. And that's the most important thing I'd want people to understand is I wasn't out to take my bank for money. What I was out to do is make my bank laugh. So I got this junk mail check.
Yeah.
You know, everybody gets them in the United States, and I'd gotten them before. But on this day, I just hit me like, you know what would be really fun for my bank? I was crazy enough to think they would like it, was for me to draw a smiley face on the back of the check and put it in there and let them call me the next day and go, that was funny. I tell people like this. I tell people like, to me, it was like walking in a restaurant and when they give you your bill, putting Monopoly money on the tray. Now, maybe they won't think it's crazy funny, but they'll at least go, oh, that's not real money. So that's what I most would want people to understand is I'm on this tour. I'm telling what, for me, is the most outrageous, funny, true story you'll ever hear. But it all started as a joke. But once I put that thing as a joke, the bank didn't call me the next day.
Okay, well, before we get to that, let's take a look at what this fake check is.
Okay.
It's one of these things that comes through the post. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't say fake check on it, but it would say sample or something.
Yes, it says, right. It says sample on it.
Right.
And it's for $95,000. It has my name. It has my address. It has a signature on it. So it looks very real, except it says sample.
No, it doesn't look very real. You couldn't fall for that, could you, if you're in the bank? Does it look that real?
Yeah, it did, actually, because that became the art and science in the United States for a while, is how real can we make the advertisement look.
Right.
So it even had pinstriping.
All right, okay.
But what didn't look real about it, it said sample really large on it. You know? Yeah, right. And I didn't sign it. I didn't sign the back.
Right, okay. So the exact amount was what, 95 grand, yeah?
Well, the exact amount, $95,093.35. Yeah.
Oh, really? I think that might be what fools people. I think, well, it must. It's not, okay,
right.
Okay, let's take a look then. So you put a smiley face in the back of it. Did you bring it into the bank or send it? Or?
I put it into the ATM machine, which you can do in the United States. You can start to do here now.
All right. Okay.
I'm not recommending it.
And you did that for a laugh, trying to give somebody a laugh, maybe with the smiley face, have a smiley day, etc. And you didn't think about it after that?
No, I forgot because it didn't call me the next day and it was a whole week later. I wasn't even thinking about the check when I went back to the ATM machine to get it. I was so broke at the time. You got to understand I was so broke. So I was wondering if I had $20 in my bank account. But when it spit out the receipt, it said now that I had $95,000 in my bank account.
So this thing comes out. It's a real thing from the bank. It says you've got $95,000 in your thing. You're like, surely some mistake. You're going to walk back to the teller and say, why should I walk back anywhere? They're telling me I've got nearly 100 grand in my account. Yeah,
it said I had 100 grand. To be honest with you, my first thought was that I had gotten I'd gotten Bill Gates' bank receipt. And it looked like so many zeros.
Did it only click with you then? Wait a minute, the reason I had this money in there is because that check that I sent in 2 weeks ago, which I'd completely forgotten about, is, my God, it's there in the bank. It's
yeah. My first thing, what I did is I began look, in the beginning, I got to be honest, with $100,000 and myself $40,000 in debt, I just wanted to just let the money sit there just for the sake of just having that number in my bank account.
And did you freak out in terms of like somebody who robs a bank and kind of like, you don't spend the money for a year and like they do in the movies and that? So did you say, wait a minute, I'm not going to go back and take all this money out now. I
100% just began waiting for them to catch the mistake. That's it.
And how long?
I'm sure that they would catch it.
What waiting are we talking about?
The longest month of my life.
A month? You waited
1 month.
That was
still there.
Nerves of steel.
Yeah. Well, it was horrible.
And did you check it out a week later and check it out a week later and check it out a week later and each week it was still there?
No, sir. I checked it out every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, to be honest. I put it on speed dial on my phone.
Okay, now
here's the thing. A month later, it's still there. I can't stand it anymore. So I actually did something crazy. I went in my bank and I told the branch manager what I had done. And all he did was look it up He just took it as like, well, let me look up this check you put in. And he looked me in the eye after typing and looking on his computer and finding it. And he goes, you're safe to start spending that money now, Mr. Combs. A check cannot come back after 10 business days. I couldn't breathe. I literally ran out of the bank in fear and excitement, but I still didn't touch the money. The branch manager told me it was legally mine. Now, here's the thing. I am honest to the core. So I was still waiting for them to do something. And what happened next is a crazy series of events that is why this became a 2-hour show.
Hold on, did you tell anybody?
Yeah, I told my brother. You meet a lot of people in the show. You know, it's not just me. I bring 13 people to life. One of them is my brother. So I tell my brother's ultra conservative. I'm positive what he's going to say to me is, well, give it back. But my brother goes, let me see if I have this straight, little brother. You put a $95,000 junk mail check into your bank as a joke. Are we related? And I'm like, yeah, but Mike, what would you do? And he's like, I'd get it in cash. So I did get the money in cash, and I locked it in a safe deposit box. And my brother and I, our mutual plan was, now wait till they call you. They're going to call you, and when they call you, give it back. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to give this money back. And what we both thought, we were wrong. We both thought the bank would call me up and go, hey, you're a customer of 12 years with this bank. You have a perfect record. And we made an enormous, ridiculous mistake, and we can tell that you haven't spent any of the money. And they didn't. What they did is they sent their pit bull after me.
Okay. Well,
first call.
Hold on. Before they sent their pit bull after you, you took out about 95 grand in cash, in notes. In dollars?
No, in a cashier's check.
Ah, a check. Okay.
A cashier's check, yeah.
And you put it into a safety deposit box within the same bank?
In their bank. Yeah. The money didn't leave their bank.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering just
so
how
I think
subterfugely you went about all this, and that was part of the plan to make them feel less aware of anything, or not really? No, just keeping the joke going.
Well, see, I think of it as a 3-phase story. And I think all great stories really do end up somehow in 3 phases. The first phase for me was $100,000 basically by windfall, by bank error in your favor. And that's a crazy phase. I love that part of the show because it's quite frankly crazy to have $100,000 in your bank. But the second phase really began, and the story takes a turn, when the bank doesn't call and act nice. They really come on with this crazy heavy-handed attitude, which I just couldn't understand. And so that's when I started to say, well, hang on one second, because this guy calls me up and he's like, I'm going to send you to jail. You've done something horrible and wrong here. You've committed fraud. And it was all me. I'd done everything wrong. So I asked him one question, which was like, but the branch manager said it was legally mine. I don't understand this. And because he wouldn't give me an answer, I said, send me a letter that explains really what's happening here and why I need to give this money back, because the branch manager confused me. And he said, never, when hell freezes over. I'll never send you a letter.
They didn't want you to have a paper trail to show how stupid they'd been.
Exactly. And so I began, for the first time in my life, looking into it, which took me to a law library, which brought the #1 legal expert in the United States of America on bank check law out of retirement. He's a great part of the story.
To bring him up against Mr. Pitbull?
I was really frightened. This guy said he was going to send me to jail. But on the other hand, the evidence started to pile up that the bank was lying. Their whole point was to lie because they had made a drastic mistake. They had legally lost the money, but they didn't want me to know that. So the third act of the play really is me versus the bank, because they're content to lie and be heavy-handed. And I began thinking, it's just not right. It's just not right to think that you can treat people like that. And so the show comes down to me trying to navigate my way through a very difficult situation, which is I just didn't feel good about letting the bank get all. Okay,
just let's say, without giving away any ending, because I presume you're not going to give away the ending unless people go and see the gig, right?
Yeah, well, I'd be cheating them out of the best story of their life.
Right, okay, fair enough, okay. So this is like a cliffhanger bit here.
It is like a cliffhanger, but really the play is extraordinarily funny, and I don't want to sound big-headed. Please forgive me for this, but I would love people to know. Maybe in hearing the description, it sounds like it's only terrifying, and it is a dramatic story, but mostly it's a funny story. And some of the proudest things in my life are that this show is deemed the funniest show in the world by HBO for that year, and it sold out on Broadway, and it sold out. I've played it in about 7 different countries.
Okay, well, I'm going to give the dates right now then at that stage of the game, but just one thing. It does have a resolution, does it? I mean,
you'll love what I did with the money.
Hold on, there is an ending. Wait a minute, what you did with the money, you've just
You'll love what I did with the money.
So you're trying to say that you still had the final say? I wouldn't have thought that. Anyway, just want to tell you when the gig is happening, because we can find out in the final part. It's a Sunday, March the 11th is the first one, and that's the Royal Theatre in Castlebar in County Mayo. Then Tuesday the 13th of March is the Cork Opera House, that will be in Cork. The Set Theatre in Kilkenny is Wednesday the 14th of March. The Source Arts Centre in Thurles in County Tip is Thursday, March 15. Then obviously Friday is the Friday, and Friday is Glór Ennis in County Clare. The INEC in Killarney is the day after Patrick's Day. That's Sunday, March the 18th. Theatre Royal in Waterford on Monday, March 19. Am I right in saying the Olympia Theatre in Dublin is 5 or 6 days?
5 nights.
5 nights. Wednesday, March 21 to Sunday, March 25. The Ballard Arts Centre in Ballybuffet in County Donegal, Monday, March 26. And the Hawkswell Theatre, obviously Sligo, that's Tuesday, March the 27th. And you can check it all out at man1banknil.com. That'll be man 1 as in the numeral 1 and bank naught as in the numeral naught or the non-numeral naught, whatever it is.
Can I tell you what my mom said?
Hold on, you told your brother. Did you tell your mom at the time?
Yeah. So my mother says, she hears it and she goes, "Oh, son, for $95,000, they'll kill you."
It sounds like she might be right.
She was terrified.
Right.
My brother told me to get them. I had so many different opinions. You know what? I even had an insider in the bank, a sympathetic insider, start sending me all the top secret confidential documents that were about me going, because this thing exploded into the world news. So I had a guy who would sign his letters in crayon named Wally. And he'd send me
Where's Wally?
He'd say, "Where's Wally?" Yeah. And he would send me the bank memos. I got to tell you, one of my favorite things was in one of the bank memos he sends me, what the bank was telling all their employees is, "You're no longer allowed to accept these fake checks."
That's a good one to have. Listen, Patrick, I'm going to have to let you go because it is coming up to the 11 o'clock news. Thanks a million for that. We'll put up the dates of all the gigs that you're playing on the Tubridy website. Patrick Combs, thanks a million. And I must say, I want to know how this one ends. I want to know the epilogue or the final chapter.